I am Emily Reese, and this is Artifact 6, my digital citizenship mini lessons. I developed a series of digital citizenship lessons for my third grade students with the purpose of inspiring my learners to positively contribute and responsibly participate in the digital world. My Notice the Cues and the Power of Our Words digital citizenship and empathy mini lessons provide evidence of Criterion 8, implement learning experiences for students to be empathetic and socially responsible. I created a lesson on social awareness titled Notice the Cues. In this lesson, students will be able to understand that when responding and communicating online, that it is important to use empathy and socially responsible words and behavior. The opening of this lesson will introduce students to the concepts of social awareness. Students will use scenario cards to determine the appropriate social awareness and cues. The work period gives students time to practice social awareness with their peers in a safe space by responding to one another using a social awareness Padlet. The teacher will explain to students that it is important when communicating online with others or leaving feedback to use empathy and demonstrate socially aware behaviors. The lesson closing allows students to reflect on their ability to be socially aware when using digital tools. Lesson extension ideas include students creating Google Drawings to demonstrate socially responsible behaviors that the teacher can share in Class Dojo for parents to view. Doing so supports the connection that social responsibility and the online world and good citizenship apply to all online interactions and for people of all ages. I created a lesson called The Power of Our Words. As a result of this lesson, students will be able to determine what empathy is, how they can show empathy, and how to demonstrate empathy towards others when using online platforms and explain why empathy is important. The opening will introduce students to the concept of empathy. Students will participate in several class discussions and use scenario-based learning to help them practice empathetic behaviors. The work period gives students time to watch the digital etiquette Brain Pop Jr. and share out with one another times when they have felt misunderstood. Students will also participate in an empathy or not game where students will choose corners in the room to determine if a scenario shows empathy or not. This helps students make connections to appropriate behaviors to display when communicating on digital platforms. The lesson closing allows students to reflect on the lesson by creating a digital poster to show how they can show empathy towards others when communicating online. Students will use their Google Drawings to teach others about how they can show empathy by printing and hanging around the school. Lesson extension ideas include sharing their learning with others in the community and school. I look forward to implementing these lessons with my students and assessing their learning and its impact to guide future instruction and activities in which students assume social responsibility and exhibit empathy in their everyday lives, both online and off. In Artifact 6, I share a series of digital citizenship mini lessons I developed for my third grade students, providing evidence of my capacity to inspire learners to positively contribute to and responsibly participate in the digital world. My lessons, Internet Safety and Give Credit, provide evidence of Criterion 10, mentor students in safe, ethical, and legal use, including intellectual property. As a result of this lesson, students will be able to explain the importance of Internet security and give examples of how to be safe online. The opening of this lesson will introduce students to what the internet actually is. Students will watch a video from NetSafe and learn how to access the internet along with reviewing key vocabulary terms. The work period gives students the opportunity to learn more about internet safety by participating in an internet safety scoop to determine if digital scenarios are safe or unsafe. While working, students will consider what rules they need in order to stay safe online. This helps students make connections to safe and friendly digital settings. The lesson concludes with the teacher facilitating a discussion with students over internet safety prompts. Students then utilize a Padlet to communicate with their peers for internet safety rules. Finally, students will agree to adhere to a class declaration of internet safety rules and sign their name. In this lesson titled Give Credit, students will be able to tell what copyright is, distinguish their rights and responsibilities as a digital creator, explain why copyright is important, and apply copyright principles in their everyday lives. The opening will introduce students to what a digital creator is and copyright. Students will watch the copyright brain pop and share out with one another times they might have unknowingly used someone else's work as their own and did not give them credit as the creator. The work period gives students the opportunity to learn more about copyright vocabulary words and create picture dictionaries. The lesson closing prompts students to use scenario-based learning to help them practice whether a scenario is okay according to copyright protections or not. Extension ideas are included to further student understanding, knowledge, and skills of copyright. I plan on sharing these mini lessons with the third grade team as a component of our digital citizenship unit administered at the beginning of the year. In doing so, the lesson will have an impact on positive and responsible digital activities school-wide, as well as provide further opportunities for teachers to mentor students in safe, ethical, and legal technology use. In Artifact 6, I share a series of digital citizenship mini lessons I developed for my third grade students, providing evidence of my capacity to inspire learners to positively contribute to and responsibly participate in the digital world. My lessons, Digital Information and Digital Friendships, provide evidence of Criterion 11, model responsible use, including protection of digital identity and personal data. I created a lesson on digital identity titled Digital Information. The mini lesson includes teaching about safe digital behaviors and data privacy, as well as activities to model responsible practices when sharing information with people online. As a result of this lesson, students will be able to identify what unsafe, inappropriate, and disrespectful behaviors are, as well as understand the importance of choosing who we are and aren't friends with online, and when to disclose personal information using digital platforms. The opening of the lesson will introduce students to the differences between communication in person and communication on digital platforms. The work period gives students the opportunity to learn more about internet safety and the information that is safe to share with others online. Students will participate in a red light, green light activity to continue to identify what personal information should or should not be shared with strangers. This activity will help students make connections to what information is safe to share and not with those they meet on digital platforms. The lesson closing prompts students to consider several trusting adults that they could go to if they begin to have trouble with strangers or their peers when using digital platforms. Students will then write a list of trusted adults that they could go to if they needed online help. I created a lesson on digital identity called Digital Friendships. The mini lesson includes teaching and activities to model responsible behaviors in identifying cyberbullying behaviors, as well as discussing with students the appropriate ways to handle cyberbullying encounters. Students will also identify, implement, and reflect on how creating and maintaining a positive digital identity is important for digital citizens of all ages. In this four-corner opening activity, the teacher will read aloud several differing statements about bullying and cyberbullying to determine student background knowledge on the topic. The students will think about their confidence level based on the statement read aloud, and students will move to the corner that correlates to their confidence level. First, in the working period, the teacher will provide a list of scenarios to students. Students will read the scenarios and turn and talk to an elbow partner to decide if the scenarios are examples of bullying and which might be cyberbullying. The teacher will facilitate discussions with students on the differences between the two, and the teacher will make connections to digital identity and the way you can be perceived online if you demonstrate poor digital citizenship. Students will also watch a brain pop on cyberbullying and participate in several discussions on how our online actions, the things we say and do, affect our digital identity and how it's important to create a positive online identity. Students will then create levels of support in their journals and add people to their circles of trusted adults and peers they could turn to for support when faced with cyberbullying or when negative digital behaviors arise. The lesson closing allows for students to reflect on cyberbullying and how to create and maintain their own positive digital identity by participating in a gallery walk as well as discussions with their peers. I look forward to implementing the digital identity and data privacy lessons with my third grade students to model how I protect my own digital identity and data, as well as support learners in managing their identity online and keeping their personal data safe.